Handle your high with Tadayoshi. Hey, John, this is welcome back everybody to High with Tadayoshi. Handle your high with me, Tadayoshi, and I got my buddy John here. He's gonna be one of my recurring co-hosts, John Ferrell. Hey, John, how's it going, man? Thanks for coming on.
Good, Chad. How you doing?
Good, man. We've known each other for a long time, and I started. Just so everybody knows, John, I never didn't even know what a fucking body modification specialist was before I met you, other than just tattooing, because you do a lot of other stuff too. You do like piercings and different things like that. But I think you do mostly tattooing these days, right?
Mostly tattooing, piercing. I still do mods when they're asked for, but living in Kentucky, there's not a big call for tongue splittings or flesh suspension.
I know that was freaky, man. I never even knew people did that shit. I've seen stuff on shows where they spike their fucking head. Yeah, there it goes, like a fucking serpent. and you got that. You used to have that thing on your wrist. Do you still have that?
No, I took the implant in my hand out.
Okay, so there was all kinds of interesting stuff that I didn't have any idea. But you had a very colored and interesting life, which I totally appreciate, because it's a world that, as you have been so apt to point out to me, I have never been a part
of. This world takes all kinds, and
and that's a good thing, right? It's a good thing. I think that I have no prejudice when it comes to people and places and things. At least I try not to. And but I definitely have lived on, as you put it, a sheltered sort of way compared to some of the experiences you've had. Some really interesting shit.
I mean, when you see it through different sets of eyes, I mean, the world looks different colors. So I mean,
just my mic.
Personally, if I had to all do over again, I'd rather see the world through your eyes than mine.
I knew he was going to say that.
Because my lenses are cracked, jaded, dark.
Hey, man, I got to tell you, man, I'm not used to seeing you with the beard action, and I fucking love it. It's awesome. It's like, you keep growing that bad boy, man, and color it white, you'll be fucking Santa Claus, man.
Right? It's already going white on its own.
I know, but you got the cool, see, when I look just fucking old, when I was starting to grow, I'm like, got this shit here, and I just look fucking old. It looks cool on you.
I'll look 10 years younger without it.
Well, you do have that baby face thing going on there.
I just don't. I basically got lazy. Someone said something about no shave November, and I'm like, yeah, that's what's going on. And that has to do with that.
That fits in my schedule.
Yeah, I just being too lazy to shave my face. And
my girlfriend, she has this thing with my clean shaved face. She likes my lips and all this stuff. And when I was rocking the goatee, I friggin' loved it, man. And she didn't complain, but she definitely didn't like it.
My wife's similar. She doesn't not like it, but she'd prefer me shave, but she won't say that.
My girlfriend will tell me.
She also knows my with my ADD, at any given moment, I'll walk in the bathroom and shave my face clean. So, I mean, we've been together 5.5 years. I think I've had a beard 4 or 5 times in that time. I've had different goatees constantly. I've had a clean face, which I actually almost never do completely clean, at least 2 or 3 times. You've actually, I don't think, ever seen me without at least the little strip goatee.
Yeah. You usually had that little dealie. I don't know what the heck.
I have a cleft chin and I hate it, so I always cover it with that.
Oh, really? Oh, that's why you did it? I didn't know that. I just thought you liked to rock the little, Fu Manchu? I don't know what it's called.
No, I just had I have a cleft chin, and I've always hated it. So as soon as I could grow,
it looks like
it wouldn't grow. The funny part is that when I was young, that wouldn't grow. So I had to let it grow really long and bushy, and then keep trimming to get it.
So it looks like a little baby's ass.
I mean, I got a bigger head, so it's bigger baby. But
it's because you got lots of brains in there. But that's what I used to tell people. I think one time when I was in college, I was. One of my friends came over to my apartment, and we had some kind of hats or something. He's like, "Man, you got a big bean." I guess I got a big head. When I lived in Baltimore, I went into this cap shop. It's called Lids. They got them all over the place in the malls and shit. I go in there, and the guy's like, and I was looking at these Kangos, because I love fucking Kangos, right? That was back when they were sort of in style, right, in the 90s. And he's like, let me do a thing on measure your head. I said, do you know your hat size? I said, no. So he measured it. He's like, damn, you got a big head. I said, man,
I wear one of the bigger hats, is 7 3/4 if I wear a fitted hat.
I don't even remember what my hat size is anymore because I don't wear hats because I'm already getting my. See, I got this thinning in my crown, and when you wear hats, it cuts circulation off the follicles.
Well, I mean, we're all going that little thinning up here, and as soon as this gets a little worse, I'm going to a hat full time.
Dude, now I have pretty good hair for what's going on, but if it gets any worse, man, if I start feeling like I'm just fucking covering shit up or doing comb overs and shit, I'm just gonna bick it, man, and just fucking rock the fucking the bald thing.
I'll pick it, but I'm gonna wear a hat.
Maybe I don't know. If I didn't have to wear, because I think the only reason why I haven't worn hats.
We're getting old, and it gives us a chance to accessorize, and that's all we got left in our life is accessorize.
Is facial hair and fucking hats. I know everybody needs. There's all these styles. Like I was just somebody, one of my fans was messaging me, and they're using all these acronyms. Of course, she's like fucking in her 20s. I feel old, dude. I don't know what. I only know like a couple acronyms, like OMG. Like fucking T.
Oh, dude, I Google them.
I never even know. Like, I think sometimes that the bitch just misspelled shit. I'm like, what? Maybe she just fucking like the autocorrect like fucked it up or something. I don't know. Sometimes I don't even know that it's a fucking acronym.
Well, just with people and dealing with clients and stuff, and people having to do all that, I get it. And I most of the time I have to Google it. My answer to everything is Google. Because my wife will ask me all these, like this question, that question, and I go, you have this little magic boxy thing that I pay monthly for. You can type shit into it. It'll tell you what you want to know. And she's like, but that's what I have you for. And I'm just sitting there going, okay. Whatever makes mama happy.
And if people don't know what I'm doing, sometimes I'm typing shit because I like to keep track of some of the content that we talk about. So when I post about the episode, it can be fairly specific about what we talk about. So sometimes I'm typing shit. So
you can just type in random shit.
Well, yeah, but sometimes it's like, because there'll be like 20 different like subtopics of shit we talk about. So I just want to make sure I'm accurate because we don't plan for this shit. This is just what I love about podcasting these days.
Since the very first time you called me as my coach, I signed up online. You sent me a diet. I followed it for I think a week, and then you did my first call. I want to say my first call, which you said you typed when you text me about everything. You're like, we're call. It'd be 5-10 minutes. Blah blah blah. I think my first call was an hour and a half.
I know. Well, you're so interesting to talk to, and I find and we talked about this before, that this is one of the reasons why we became such good friends. And I kind of tend to do this anyways with a lot of my clients. I really do, because I take an interest in people, and you know this. Like, you're like, why are you talking to that fucker? It's like I do. I have this sort of. I have my own world, these rosy colored glasses that I see the world through, and I really enjoy that part of me, that I really like interacting. I think my girlfriend also thinks that I'm strange too, but I'll talk to fucking like anyone, and I'll ask him about, like, I remember I'm sitting there, go to Thailand, her mother, her mother's from Singapore, and we're sitting at this restaurant. And I'm asking her, and this is the first time I'd met her mother, right? Like, really, so I'm on this vacation with her and my girlfriend, and I'm trying to show an interest in her mother and all this, and so I'm asking her mother questions, right? Well, I didn't like how did you and her father meet, and this and that. No, they're not married anymore, but they were at one time, and we're talking, and my girlfriend's like, no, don't fucking talk about that, don't ask any more questions, and I'm like, wow, man, I'm just trying to be nice, I didn't know I was being offensive, but apparently, in the Asian culture, you don't ask people personal questions. It's like, and I'm like going, and I'm like, I didn't know this shit. Like, fuck, man, I'm just trying to be nice. Like, it's just part of who I am, But I guess I learned something on that trip. And she understood. Her mother understood. She wasn't, her mother wasn't mad, but my girlfriend's she has this way about her sometimes where it looks like she's really perturbed or upset, but she allows herself to get really in the moment with everything, like whether it's joy or anger. It's like it doesn't matter. She has no valve control. I have a really good valve control. Like, you won't know, because I don't like to have that kind of vibration going on in my life, like anger or frustration. But if I do, then it's rare, right? Like, except when I'm excited. And you know this, like when I get excited about shit, then that valve is always wide open. No,
I mean, I think I'm a lot the same way in that sense. Is like, I usually keep my I keep my composure pretty well in most situations. Like, I don't try to get too mad. I usually try to analyze shit before I really make a decision on anything. What I do have an issue with, and I've been told my whole life, is I have a thought process and a speaker and no filter in between.
Well, I can definitely say that our conversations have always been interesting, and what I wanted to the reason why I really sort of asked you to be a part of this, because we have such good dialogue, and you're one of the few people that I've met in my life where you and I could be adamantly opposed on ideas, like really. And we did this in Vegas and fucking at the Olympia, I think, where we were fucking 2:00 in the morning. We're in, what was it, that one restaurant, that cook, I don't know, I never remember. Was that?
Great Worlds.
Yeah, and we're there, and what was it, like 12 people with us? And we're sitting there fucking 2:00 in the morning just arguing about fucking some political shit or some medicine. I think we were talking about like healthcare or some shit. Anyways, and we're getting loud, and I think people around us thought we were fucking pissed off at each other, like, these guys are going to start swinging at each other. And then we got up like, hey, man, everything's cool afterwards.
No, I mean, you're one of the few people where if I'm arguing and my tone goes up, I'm still listening. Usually, and I'm this way with most people, though I'm not that way. With most people, as soon as either side's raised their voice, it's no longer going to, there's I'm not listening to your side. All I'm trying to do is get to my next point. And that's just nonsense. That's not how to communicate with people. So most people, I don't have those conversations. With you, it's just that one thing is you'll try to talk over me, and I'm louder than you.
You're one of the few people who are. You're one of the people, and I can appreciate that because
and you'll try to talk over, and that's when it's like, no, I'm not done with my point, because I'll sit back. I do this with there's a couple people I'll do that with, but I'll sit back and listen to someone's side. But a lot of people like you'll get excited on one point when I'm trying to give an overall.
Right.
And you'll want to discuss that one point. It's like, let me finish, damn it. And you're no, and so we'll go back and forth, and yeah, we'll get loud. And I think I don't remember what sushi bar it was. I think we actually almost got thrown out of a sushi bar.
We probably. I
know we almost got in trouble at a dance place in Vegas.
At whose place?
We weren't supposed to be the ones taking clothes off.
Did we take our clothes off? Shit. When was it?
We almost did a pose down in the middle of strip clubs in Vegas right after one of my shows.
Oh, it was that. That was after the fucking bottle of vodka yeah, fuck yeah, that's right, man. I missed my flight the next day after that shit. Yeah. It's like, that was awesome, though.
I had to carry you out of the strip club.
I know. I guess I
carried Tristan literally thrown over my shoulder in the middle of the night. Put him in a cab, and it cost $50 extra because the cab didn't want to take him because he knew he was going to puke, and he did. And then I got you to the edge, and there's like 3 steps, and the bouncer's looking at me, and he's looking at you.
The big Hawaiian cat, and he's like, "Hey, brother, do you need help?" And you're like, "No, man, we carry our own out."
I don't think I'm pretty sure with the height on that boy, I'm pretty sure he's probably Tongan.
Yeah, he's a big dude. I remember him, man. I remember sitting at that table, and
I remember looking at him going, "Why isn't he in bodybuilding?"
Well, and at the time, I think I was about 240. 245. I was pretty heavy, and
I was probably 190 something because I just competed, and I should have been the drunkest. I don't know how.
I don't know. You got some serious tolerance, man. That's the Irish in you, man. That's the fucking Irish in you.
Irish and British, they both can drink. So,
well, I did that 23andMe test last year. My girlfriend and I did it, and apparently, like, naturally, the largest percentage of my genome comes from the Japanese, the Asian side, and the Native Hawaiian. But the other half of me. It looks like the biggest percentage, I think it was like, I want to say it was like 27, almost 30% of me is British and Irish. So ironic. It's kind of ironic. I really thought that it was something else. But
I haven't done mine, but obviously both my parents did theirs, so that gives me pretty much a
pretty good snapshot.
Yeah. And what was surprising on both was there's more English on the Irish side than we thought. There's more Irish on the English side than we thought. And more than that, I'm basically almost like at least a third, if not more, Scandinavian.
Really? Oh, well, I can see that. But
nobody in my family, like my mom's family's all like staunch British as far back as we can date. My dad's family, you know, the O'Farrells go to Ireland.
So now, are you related to anybody special? Like, because in my family, I think I'm related to Sir Francis Drake and Billy the Kid, or not Billy the Kid, Pat Garrett.
My dad would have to. He never sent me all that stuff. He was just telling me like, basically, my mom was talking shit, telling him how he's more. English.
Your mom talks shit.
How he's more English than he ever said he was, and then he came back, well, you're more Irish than you thought you were, and then it turns out that, you know, where we thought one was Irish and one was English, both of them are like a third Scandinavian.
Oh.
One of the largest points of them on both is Scandinavian.
See, I look at, especially with this fucking beard thing going on, you rocking these days, I'm thinking, man, you could be on that show Norseman.
Vikings?
Yeah, Vikings. You know, there's a show called Norseman on Netflix. It's awesome. It's hilarious as fuck. And I binge watched fucking like all 3 seasons so far. I'm totally waiting for the next season to come out. I think it's 3 seasons or 4 seasons. It's really great. But what they do is, if you haven't watched it, they superimpose sort of some of today's sensibilities on these like Nordic, these like Vikings, and they're like. And so, like, they'll be like, they have these slaves, and they're like, or they'll just have these, it's really very smart. I think you'll enjoy it. It's very smart dialogue. So whoever's writing this, it's funny, but it's at the same time, they set it in the setting of this, you know, during the Viking era. And, but they're having these intelligent conversations about equality and about like how they should treat each other and like all this stuff. And then
I don't see that. I can see how that'd be funny. I just don't see how that fits in the Viking.
It doesn't fit. That's the whole point.
They were like, I'm going to eat that and fuck that, and I'm taking that from that guy.
Well, there's this one thing, I don't remember what they called it, where the leader of the tribe, they get off of their raid and they come back and he's like, now he's like this chieftain guy, he's facing like his normal life again, and he doesn't have anything. He's like, he spent all of his time out there raiding and stuff, and he's like, I don't really have, so he's talking to the chieftain, and he's like, and they're best friends or something. And he's like, well, I got an idea, you know, like, and I guess there's these little rituals they have, like, they call them certain things, and there's one ritual where you could challenge somebody, and if you beat them, then you could take their wife and their land and all their shit. And he's like, and there's a guy who's like a fucking, like, he's built up his farm really well. He's got this wife and he's got this farm. It's really successful. So he challenged him to this thing. And he's like, well, wait a minute. He's like, you don't have any, if I win, you don't have anything. He's like, well, that's not really my fault. He's like, but you can see my position. He's like, you can see my position. He goes, I really respect what you've done. I really think you're a great guy, but you see my position. I would be stupid not to take advantage of this. I'm like, I could totally see you saying that to somebody. I'm like,
shit happens.
It's a pretty funny show. You got to see it. You know, now, we were talking earlier. Now, you were saying something that you were thinking about opening a gym. Because I made this post the other day, and I owned a gym years back when I lived in the Bay Area in Gilroy, and it was a nice experience. I wouldn't want to do it again. But because there's 2 things you got to realize, that people have to realize. A lot of people who love bodybuilding, love working out, they want to own a gym. And the one thing you got to realize is that owning a gym and loving working out are really 2 different things. And so, but I think you'd be able to do it well. But it wasn't my cup of tea, but I had it for a couple of years and I did like parts of it. But I was in the gym last night and late, so there was not that many people in there, and I couldn't help it. I don't normally post shit like this, but I posted it on my story on Instagram. There's weights fucking everywhere on the ground. Like, nobody put their shit away in the middle of the freaking gym. There's like, and I pay $120 something a month to go to this stupid gym, and it's in LA. It's what is it? Not LA Fitness, but I forget where it is. Lifetime Fitness, and it's like an Opal or whatever fucking level where there's fucking a barber shop in there and fucking, you know, all this cool shit that you get, towels and shaving cream, shit that I don't use, and swimming pool, which is cool. When my daughter was here, that was cool. There was a slide and they got lots of stuff like that, but nobody picks up anything, and I'm like going, if you could fucking lift it, you could fucking rack it. You know, like, it doesn't make any sense. So that irritates me, and I posted about that. But so this is some of the stuff that you have to contend with is gym etiquette, just gym etiquette.
This is a hot switch for me. It drives me fucking crazy. And literally, I have this. I take a minute and stop myself from yelling at people. I've been thrown out of gyms actually for getting in people's faces over it. I've actually had my memberships returned.
Oh, really? Wow.
The original Gold's Gym there in Marietta. The first manager threw me out. Oh, the second manager came in.
Was that about the bag thing? Because I remember we were training at that gym together, and there was a bag, and they wanted to throw you out, or they wanted to take your bag.
This was a little before me and you started training. It was when they very first opened the doors on that place, and this guy and his kid were using one of the incline bench presses, and by kid I mean probably 17, 18 years old. And they left, I think it was like 225 on the bar, and started walking away. And I was done with what I was doing, and I turned around.
You're like, hey, motherfucker.
Like, hey, man, you guys done here? And they're like, yeah, it's all yours. And I was like, no, rack your fucking weights.
You could scare them.
So like, you don't talk to me like that. I was like, you really want your kid to watch you get your ass whooped right now over you being a lazy piece of shit. Except, for example, because that's what you are. And manager, I can't remember the guy's name. The guy that came over from the old Golds.
Oh.
He
I don't
came
remember.
over. Hey, man, you can't talk, because obviously the guy went running to the management, and he was like, you can't say shit like that, you can't make threats, blah blah. I was like, what a threat? If he'd stepped to me, I was gonna beat his ass. It's just that simple. Like, he was a piece of shit, and he's showing his kid to be a piece of shit and not respect stuff. I mean, here's the thing, and you can vouch for this, Tad, you've seen me leg press 2,000 pounds. I get up, and when I can walk again, which usually takes a few minutes, I will eat all of it, every single plate.
Well, I will
do that, you can take your 225 off the fucking bar.
I figure, like, man, if you could, like I said before, if you can lift it, you can rack it, you know. And I think what is required, I personally believe, when people sign up for a gym. Now, I'm not trying to, like, I'm not ranting, but when people sign up for a gym membership, I think it's good for them to sign a gym etiquette form and for you to go over it. Like, look, at least read it, or at least discuss the gym etiquette, like re-rack your weights, you know, because that's just polite to other people.
Well,
you know?
I got a buddy. Actually, I'm wearing his shirt. So here, look at.
Was it, Metroflex? Yeah,
Metroflex,
versus everybody. Yeah, good gym. Actually, I never looked there because I moved away, but all my clients that are still down there.
Well, you know Ryan Benthal.
Yeah,
he was one of the trainers. Yeah, Ryan's the guy that owns it. Great guy. Been a good friend of mine for a long time. He actually will. I've seen him on his Instagram feed put clients, like, pull up the surveillance cameras and put clients on blast for not re-racking their shit. And I know for a fact he's actually canceled people's contracts and terminated them. And you're like, you're done. You're not in my gym anymore.
Well, I know Steve Weinberger does the same kind of thing. He'll fucking stand up right behind the counter, and I've heard people tell me this has actually been happening. I've never seen it myself, but he'll stand up and say, "Hey, you fuckface, get out of here!" You're out. You're done. You're like, you know, no more if you're leaving your weights around.
If I get to do the gym the way I want it to, it's going to be more of an old school gym. I'm not trying to do like a fitness center.
So is it going to be there in Kentucky?
Yeah, it'll be here in Kentucky. Probably here in Somerset if I do it. But it's not going to be like a 24-hour fitness or anything like that. It's going to be, you know, free weights, hammer strength, and it's I'm going to own
it's a bodybuilding gym. It's a lifting gym.
Yeah, I'll own the property. I'll put it in one of those big metal buildings that you can put up for fairly, you know, cost effective. Basically, by the time I open the place, I'll own everything outright, which means my only overhead's electric and you know, keeping people in there.
That makes sense.
Which means I won't have to have that many members. So in order to cover it, and basically, if you don't clean up after yourself, you fuck off. And that's the mentality. That's kind of the reason I even want to open the gym. One, I want something that's just for people that are serious about training, like, and people that are serious about. They're not in there to chit chat. They're not in there to have a fucking social club. They want to get in there, get their fucking workout, you know, and you know, actually, one of the things that kind of weirds me out when I go to the gym, I see people in there, they're in the gym every day. I see them every day, same times. They're doing their workouts. They got their workout partners. And you'll see these guys come in and train, and you'll never see a drop of sweat. You'll never see them breathing. Where I'm over here looking like I just jumped out of a pool, dripping, and, you know, can barely catch my breath between sets.
Well, don't you think like everyone has different styles of lifting? Now, granted, I know we train together. You train hard, I train hard. We both train pretty hard. That's the style. That's kind of necessitate the bodybuilding sort of necessitates that. But some people really don't have the same goals. They just want to be fit. They just want to So you're not going to cater to those.
I'm talking about guys that you see them. They're obviously in there at least 5 days a week. Still have a dad bod, and it's right. Like if you're going to be here, put the effort in.
Well, there's a
I think you put effort to put this in, and this is me being judgmental as fuck, and I understand. But I just don't understand if you're already going to be there for your hour and a half, however long you're going to be.
You might as well spend it wisely.
And it's funny because I see some of these guys give me weird looks because I'll go in and crush a workout in 45 minutes, and they've been there before I got there, and they're only halfway through their workout when I leave. But I've already put in more effort than they'll put in all week.
Well, there's a lesson in there. I think a lot of people, because like when I first started training in the bodybuilding in the 80s, 85, and I started going I think the first time I ever went to a gym was 1985, 86, and it was a Gold's Gym. I was so excited to go to this fucking one of like only 2 Gold's Gym, I think at the time in Vegas. And so I know, excuse me, that when it comes to like, I think that if I remember correctly, like I started out in a hardcore sort of atmosphere, and it was something that I wanted to do. And I don't think that it wasn't very popular then. Like it wasn't super popular. Like today, so popular. Everybody like so many more people go to the gym. And I don't think that because of the gym atmosphere, the kind of reasons, the application that you and I came into it for, it lends itself to really being able to train like that or to want to train like that. And whereas I think the people today, I don't think that many of them, a lot of the dads, a lot of the moms, a lot of the people who they go for a little bit different reasons while they still want to get a workout, but I don't think they really understand, or maybe they do, but it seems to me like they're just coming in there and they've never seen real effort. I don't think, and I don't think it really sort of connects the dots inside. I don't think that I see people at the Lifetime Fitness, and I don't think I see many people really putting in hard work. And it does detract from my workouts. I'll be honest. Like I had better workouts working out with you in Temecula and stuff. I mean, and Marietta, it was much better atmosphere. It just seemed like you kind of it does detract. I think it detracts.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, like my favorite gym that I've ever been to, like when I'm in California, obviously, Benthal's gym, Metroflex, because everybody in there is serious. Everybody's there to get a job done. Same thing with when I was in Florida, Miami Iron. I love that gym. I can walk in there 24 hours a day, and I'm never the biggest dude there. There's always something to motivate me. There's always, and it's very tight. Like they have anything you could possibly need crammed into a very small area. So when it's busy, you still never have to wait that long because people aren't fucking around. People aren't on their phones. They're getting in there. You're getting after it. People are like, hey, you want to work in? Or, hey, I only got 2 more sets. And everybody's kind of like harmonious, which is what makes it weird is it's a bodybuilding and a powerlifting gym. And everybody gets along. And you'll hear one of the powerlifters hit a huge PR, dude, and it just makes you want to push harder on your next set. And that energy, the energy in that gym is one of the best I've ever had in my entire life.
I think, when I first started not when I first, but the first real gym I went to was probably my favorite gym I've ever worked out, which was Downing's gym. Pat Downing, he was the chairman of the NPC in Oregon during the 80s and 90s, much of the 90s, not all the 90s, but he was my first mentor. He walked me through my first diet, helped me measure my body fat every week. He was really good to me. And my first show was his contest that he was promoting at the time, which was the Western Oregon State Championships. Western Oregon State Championships in 1989. I was 19 years old. And I remember the year before that, I bought the very first ticket to that show. I mean, I bugged him for fucking 9 months to get that ticket. He's like, don't worry, Tad, I'm going to give you a ticket when it comes on sale. But his gym was awesome. It was in the basement of an old YMCA building. And I remember one time I was so excited to work out this gym, man. I remember one time I was working out, and all the Oregon State, all the serious lifters lifted at Downing's. And it was it wasn't big, but it was hardcore, man. You worked out there, and it was chalk everywhere and shit like that. People selling fucking steroids in the parking lot and shit like that. I'm not kidding you. Like that's the way, this is like the 80s, right? And there was a guy who was rated the second best hammer thrower in the country, and he trained at the gym, and he was going to Oregon State throwing the hammer throw. This dude was a beast, man. He was the first guy I've ever seen that looked like this. He was just massive, and he would squat, and he would squat so heavy, like I think 600-700 pounds he was doing. And I remember one time he had, I think, about 700 pounds on there, hitting for a couple reps. He got in there, he chalked up, and he would go through this whole process. He was a powerlifter too. And then he got in there, and I walked in fucking in front of him right when he did that set. He got off that thing, and he stared at me in the eyes and said, "Hey, motherfucker!" And I was like, I was 17. I was like, holy fuck, this dude's gonna fucking rip my head off. I was like, but it taught me a lesson. What it taught, and I personally wouldn't take that same tactic, but he was like, don't fucking walk in front of me. Can you see what the fuck I'm doing? And I'm like, no, he didn't have a spotter, man. He's like, you do this all free. And I was like, fuck, but it made me reflect, and I'm like, hey man, you kind of there's gym etiquette. Everybody needs to be able to be conscientious of this because there's safety involved. You can't leave shit on the floor. People can fucking trip and fall on that shit. But more importantly, other people have to use this equipment too. I remember somebody came up to the gym just the other night, and they said, hey, they didn't realize I was working on a machine. And I walked back over to it. I'm doing my arms. So I look kind of jacked. I'm like the biggest dude in this fucking gym. I'm working on it. And I'm pretty lean. I stay, these days I stay pretty lean. So I look pretty great. And he goes, oh man, I'm really sorry. He's an older fella. He's like, I'm really sorry. I said, hey man, we all rent this equipment together. You want to work in? I'm happy to share it with you. I don't have a problem with that kind of stuff. But everybody seems to think that when they get on a machine, you own it. You don't own it. We're all renting it together. Like, you know what I mean? Like, let's share. Like, didn't anybody go to fucking like kindergarten? And then wasn't that one of the rules? We all share everything.
I'm totally that guy. I'll be like, hey, can I work in? When you're bigger, I think some people get it.
Well, they get intimidated. They definitely get intimidated.
So, like, I'll have people be like, I'll walk up and I'll know they've only done one set. And I'll be like, hey, man, how many more sets you got? And they'll be like, oh, this is my last one.
Like, no, dude.
No, dude. Like, just don't, like, no. Like, let's work in. Like, you need a spot. And once they figure out you're a nice guy. My thing is, I try, because I am a talkative person, I try not to talk in the gym.
Right.
I'm there to get something done. An experience that kind of reminds me of this is, he's my coach now, but before he's my coach, the first time I got to train, I was in Arizona. My wife was getting her boobs done, and I got to train chest with Dusty Hanshaw, and I didn't know Dusty that well. I'd seen all his videos, so he was kind of like this, and he was so close to getting his pro card. I just wanted to like talk to him the whole workout. And I think I was almost annoying him, but he was too nice to say that, even though he kind of told me a couple times, let's get into the set. Since then, I've tried to be very comprehensive of myself in general, of just not being in my workouts, and just getting it done, getting in there, getting it done, and going and getting my food in. And it's made a big difference. It's made a big difference in how I feel, how I train, and everything of just, I'm there to get something done. I'm not there for social hour. I tried a new gym today that's out by where I'm going to be working now. It's about 30 miles from my house. It's a powerhouse gym. It's a small one. It's in London, Kentucky. There's a couple guys that were super setting between two machines, and I just needed to do one set of rest pause on a hammer strength curl machine. I just need to do one set, and I just walked up. I was like, "Hey guys, you mind if I work in?" And I was like, "I just got one set." And the guy, like, when he said yes, I don't know if it's just how I took it or whatever. It kind of almost rubbed me the wrong way, because he said it almost like I'll let you do that.
You're like,
and it was just
like,
kind of
all right, motherfucker. Well, I'll let you live for another 10 minutes.
Acts like he might have not have meant it in that way, and I was also in my zone, so I was just like, fuck it, whatever, get out of my let me get my set in, let me get back to what I'm doing so I can get out of here. And
I try not to take what people say too personally. I used to take it.
What he said is how he, and I don't.
I know.
it was how he said it of like, I guess I'll let you do that when it's one of those things of like, if I just sit down on the equipment, when you get up, it's not like you're going to take it from me. But I try to be the nice guy. I try to always work people in. And especially when it's somebody new, like the smaller little guys, I try to, hey, you need a spot.
Well, I think when you do eventually, what kind of timeline are you looking at with opening your gym, you think?
It's going to be a couple years. Like it's something I'm going to build up to. I have a huge garage here at the house. I've probably like about a 6-car detached garage.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I'll start buying pieces of equipment that I want.
And just slowly build your way up.
Yeah, and just slowly build my way up into this thing.
Those are the best kind of gyms in my opinion. Those are the kind that organically grow out because that every piece of equipment is hand selected because you liked it and you used it and you wanted it. I'm telling you, that's the way Downey's gym was. It was a great gym, man, and it was like one of those places.
That's why Miami Iron is. I mean, if there's like when everybody started talking about vertical leg presses again, they're the first gym in that entire area put a vertical leg press back in. They're the first gym I ever saw with a belt squat machine.
Well, you and I were the one. I don't think you and I were the one talking about this, but it's a little off topic from the gym stuff. But the leg presses. I've never been a huge fan of leg presses to begin with, but it's not a bad movement, but I'm really starting to think, and I have to bring this up because I know you love leg presses and you use them as a primary quad movement, and you're real strong at it. But I'm a firm believer now that I think it contributes to some of the waist getting blown out of a lot of these guys because you really have to control this. Wearing a belt and just really keep that core tight. Otherwise, there's not a whole lot. There's a lot of this pressure being exerted on the abdominal wall, and that is what's. And there's a lot of complaints in the bodybuilding community these days with a lot of the pros who are just their waistlines are just really, really sort of blown out. They get large, and I think that this contributes.
I think that comes more from not training in a belt. I think genetics plays a huge role in your waistline.
Absolutely. There's all these factors. I think everything
because if you think about it, if you're squatting super heavy, you have the same pressure on your waistline as you do.
And I agree that I think that squatting can do this too. Anything where you're bearing down. I guess that my point is that when you do, I'm not saying to eliminate leg presses. I'm just saying that I think it's a consideration that when you do them, you got to kind of, because there's two ways to do leg presses, right? You can keep your core, you can keep all you can use your diaphragm and you can pull things up and push with your legs. But most people kind of bear down and then they're pushing against their abs and you can really, you know what I'm talking about. It feels like, because I remember coming off those leg presses and when I was doing that, my ribs would actually hurt. They'd be sore the next day.
I've never had that issue. The closest thing I've ever had is like when I go real heavy, and I don't go that heavy, very often anymore because usually I try to pre-exhaust my quads first, just because I get tired of unracking 2,000 pounds. But
you used to be a sprinter, right? Like a bicyclist.
I did cycling for a little while, and yeah, I mean, because of my leg size, I was just naturally better at sprinting than climbing.
But I know you had some back injuries, and so you gravitated more towards things that take the pressure off the back, right? That's the reason, right?
My thing with squatting, the reason I don't like squatting is I keep getting up with patella tendonitis.
Oh, I thought it was. Now you got to tell people like you broke your back.
I broke my L4 in two places on I overshot a jump on a dirt bike out in the hills in Arizona, and I flat landed from about 45 feet up.
And how old were you?
It was 2008. So.
Oh shit! So it wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, I was 28. I spent 3 months in a turtle shell. I still have some problems with it from all the muscle tissue and stuff that tore. I didn't crash. I actually landed it. I felt and heard the bone pop. And when I hit, I felt everything. And literally the first thing I did before I even tried to get on the brakes or anything is I wiggled my toes. I made wiggle my toes. As soon as I knew I could wiggle my toes, I was like, all right.
You're like, okay, no spine severage.
I'm
not going to make it.
So I grabbed the clutch, pulled in the brake. I didn't realize the bike wouldn't run anyways because the carburetor had come out like it hit so hard the carburetor didn't fall out, but it busted out of the boot, so it wasn't sealed in. Got on the brakes, and I literally slowed the bike down to where it started to fall over, and I just stepped off of it and laid down on the ground and waited for my friends.
Oh, wow. And then you went to the hospital, and they were like, how the fuck did you get here?
No, that was a whole fucked up situation in itself. My buddy finally gets me to the hospital. It's about an hour and a half, almost 2 hours since it happened. I've had no pain meds. I haven't gone into shock. I've felt everything, and everything's getting worse. They try to get me into a wheelchair. Well, now all the muscle tissue is pretty it's all tightened up. I can't move. Yeah. So I'm in this hunched standing position that the truck seat laid into. And so I couldn't sit down. So my buddy puts his arm underneath me, and they walked me in. And I think it was Pleasant Valley Emergency Room, which is in a nice part of like northern Phoenix. And it was really funny because the lady's behind plexiglass, like you would see in like a convenience store in the hood. And I think they did this because she's a bitch. Because she looks at me and goes, "What's wrong with you?" And I said, "I broke my back." And she slides a clipboard under the thing with a pen and says, "Fill this out and go sit over there." And I put a big X through it and threw it back under there and says, "I can't sit down. I can't bend." And she like rolls her eyes, scoffs, and tells my buddy to put me in room 1. So we walked me in there, and I kind of had to literally limbo to lay on the bed, and he had to pick my legs up and put my legs on the bed because
that must have fucking hurt like a bitch.
It sucked. It was not one of my proudest moments. He left, and the first nurse came in, and she was like, got full on attitude. And apparently, I'll get to why they started treating me like this right out the gate towards the end. Full shitty attitude. "So you think you broke your back, huh?" And she's like, "So how do you explain walking in here then?"
Painfully.
My response, and this wasn't the correct response, but when I'm in that much pain, I don't really think real well, was, "How do you explain me not getting off this bed and beating the shit out of you?"
Of course.
I was I was in agony. Like, I hit me in the head with a fucking hammer, do something to take the pain away. I don't give a rat's ass. She leaves. The next nurse just wants my medical insurance card.
Right.
I can't believe what's going on. I'm literally in so much pain that I'm emotionally breaking down. And I've been in this bed probably 45 minutes. So now it's getting closer to 3 hours. No pain medication, nothing. Finally, the nurse practitioner, this guy walks in and asks me what happened. I tell him what happened. I was like, "Dude, just seriously hit me with something." Like, he's like, "Hit me in the head with a mallet. Like, I can't deal with this pain anymore. Like, I just can't do it." And he's like, "I can't give you anything until after we get you x-rayed and MRI, but I'm going to get you in right now." He literally wheeled me into the x-ray room and told the person who was about to get an x-ray to get their guy out of his way. They did my x-rays, wheeled me straight out of there and into an MRI. As I'm coming out of the MRI, the guy's reading my x-rays in the hall. The first nurse doesn't realize that I'm being wheeled out and can hear her. And she looks, and he's looking at my x-rays, and she looks and goes, "Let me guess, there's nothing wrong with him, and he's just trying to get drugs." Apparently, because I was tattooed and I think I had a shaved head back then, I was a drug addict. And I was just...
That's a little presumptive, but...
and he looked at her and told her that would be her last day working there because I had a double fracture to my L4. My L4 was cracked 3/4 of the way down the front and 3/4 of the way around the back. So it kind of popped.
It just... like that.
So he literally, no IV, walks up and hits a vein on both arms with morphine.
He's like, you need this.
Then puts my IV in because he's like, "Dude," "I can't imagine the amount of pain right now." Because then they looked at the MRI and saw the torn muscle tissue. I had torn pretty much everything between the top of the low part of my back all the way down into my glutes. And they said that was actually what was causing me pain, was that tightening up. They said that the fracture wasn't hurting me as bad as I thought it was.
Oh, you were just mistaking the pain.
No, they then told me that they were going to transfer me to I think it's St. Joe's or St. Joseph's, whatever the big hospital there in Phoenix is, because they had a better trauma center. And he ends up giving me one more shot of morphine. And then when I got on the,
did you still feel the pain?
I was in agony still. It hadn't even.
It didn't touch it.
3 shots, 3 shots intravenous, and I wasn't taking the edge off. I get in the transport, and the transport medic or whatever you want to call him, he was like, what's your pain scale 1 to 10? I'm like a 50. My paperwork apparently was up front with the driver, so he didn't even look. He just gives me another shot. We get there. There's no room in ICU for me, so I'm on a bed in the hallway. And the ICU nurses were great, but they're running around because obviously they're over full. And one of them runs up to me and, she can't find my chart. She looks at me and goes, what's your scale on pain on a scale of 1 to 10? Now it's down to about a 25. Like the edge started to creep off. She hits me with another shot of morphine. So by the time they get me into a room, and this happens one more time, and they get a doctor in front of me, I've had 6 shots of morphine in under an hour.
Wow. So normally that would put an elephant down, right?
The doctor, very, very blunt, because at this point I've had friends show up because I've been texting people the whole time. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't that I wasn't loopy and high. It just wasn't helping the pain as much as I wanted it to. I was still in a lot of pain. Somebody brought me a sketch pad and color pencils. And I actually drew a spine with a banner across it that said "ouch." So that's where my brain was looped out on opiates. And the doctor comes up and goes, Mr. Ferrell, why are you awake?
Man, I'm drawing pictures, bro.
Like, I don't know. And you gotta understand, like, I'm looped out of my mind, so I can't. The question's going in, and I'm hearing him and responding, but I'm still not actually. It's not processed.
Right.
So by the time it's processed, my ADD's already forgot it. So I'm in here having, like, he's talking to me, but I'm having 2 other conversations. And I'm still in pain, but it's now down to like a 4.
Okay.
Which for me is tolerable. I can live there. And he just, Mr. Ferrell, you ever had a chemical dependency problem?
It wasn't a problem in my book.
I don't know why he didn't just ask me, have you ever done drugs? I said, yes. And he's like, well, okay, because we've given you the amount you should be almost in a coma right now. And I said, well, you need to get me off this, and you need to do it the right way so I don't end up sick, because if I end up throwing up and convulsing, it's not going to help my back. And so he's like, okay, I'm going to come back in a couple hours when this has come down a little bit, but you're still comfortable, and we'll discuss how to make this all work for you. And I had only been clean, I think it's 5 or 6 years at that. Yeah, 6 years at that point. And
because you had. I remember you telling me in vivid detail. You had a pretty good, sizable experience with lots of different kinds of drugs. So you had a high tolerance, right?
Yeah, I had a real high tolerance. I also have a high tolerance for pain. And they were telling me, hey, as soon as because they weaned me off the morphine and switched me to Percocet, the pills. But they told me, the pills take 30, 40 minutes to kick in. You need to tell us as soon as you start feeling it so we can give you the pills so that they'll kick. Well, I'm so afraid that I'm going to end up dependent on these things.
You're like holding out.
I'm waiting until I'm in pain before I would ask for them.
You got to stay ahead of the pain, right? I mean, that's everything I
that's
know.
what they wanted, but I was worried. And opiates were never really my problem. I mean, I played with them and stuff, but I never had an issue with that. I never fiended for them or anything like that. That was never my issue. But because of everything that was going on, I still wasn't thinking straight. So I was worried about it's a drug, period. I mean, by the time they sent me home with, pockets full of pills and muscle relaxers, and I found out that, the best thing that goes with pain pills and muscle relaxers is dark beer.
Well, my affinity for dark beer. I love dark beer, period.
Well, I was back to work. I was back to work in a tattoo shop 1 week to the day from the day I broke my back.
Wow. How long did it take you to I think you told me it was several months, right, before you were healed up.
3 months was how long I had to wear the turtle shell for. And then, like, the way they do they don't even want to check on you until 3 months, unless something bad happens. They're like, okay, this is what you're going to be for 3 months. So, just like anybody else, by like 2.5 months, if I was at home, I could get up, and if I was real still, I wouldn't wear my turtle shell. By 3 weeks into that third month, I was just not wearing it, like I was,
So
and
the brace, this turtle shell, it's like a brace, right?
it's a brace that wraps around your back and holds everything in place, and then it's fitted to you. It's literally, they come in and make a mold, and you Velcro it in tight. It's got 3 things of Velcro that Velcro it in tight and holds you tight, which I don't know how it kept holding me tight, because I know I was putting on weight the whole time, because I was just eating crap, tattooing, and when I wasn't at work, I was just fucked up. Just because, and it just, honestly, it was more, I wasn't fucked up because of the pain from breaking my back, but depression from like not being able to do anything and just being kind of stuck and really bummed out. And so as soon as I got out of the turtle shell, I never even went to their physical therapy. I just went into the gym and started lightly lifting. And then my buddy, and by this point I was 265 pounds, fat as hell. I mean, no muscle on me. I was just a blob. And my buddy got me onto, I had a mountain bike that I bought some like road tires for, because there was no real like mountains where I was at for like mountain bike style riding. And I started just riding a bike every morning, first like a couple miles, then 10 miles and 15 miles.
But you stopped doing the jumping, right?
Well, no, I'm talking a bicycle, not a motorcycle. And a buddy of mine that he trains professional motocross athletes, Randy Lawrence. He had a complete setup for a road bike, like a cycling road bike, minus the frame and forks. And so he said, hey, buy a set of frame and forks. I'll give you this, and then you'll have a real road bike. And I started doing that. I started riding with them. And you know me, as soon as I do something, I do it all the way. So within a month, I was doing 200 plus miles a week. Within probably 2 months, I was doing 250 to 300 miles a week. So it was 16 miles from my house to his house, and he'd be going on a 35-mile ride with all his motocross racers. I'd ride from my house to his house, time it so that I would get there as they would roll out, do their ride, and then ride home. Because just driving over there and doing the 35-mile ride with them was just boring to me. We had to, let's tack another 32 miles to it. And basically, a couple of these pro athletes who this is their job to be doing this didn't like the fact that I would do that, because they don't like riding their bike. It's just part of what they got to do to prepare for racing motocross. And I'm making them look bad because I'm also out in front taking pulls, meaning the wind's hitting you and they're behind you in the line. And I'm out there.
They're like drafting you.
The other thing is they've been riding bikes for years, and I've been riding bikes for months, and I'm out there outworking these guys. And I'm real competitive, and my buddy Randy is the most competitive person I've ever met in my life. So, trying to do his time trial run on days and trying to match his speeds and trying to keep up with him or trying to beat him in sprints. And Randy's a beast on a bike. I mean, whether it's a BMX, the guy's 51 years old right now, and he's still backflipping bicycles. I mean, he's an absolute just stud on a bike. I make fun of him for being old and scrawny all the time, but he's an absolute warrior. Just don't ever tell him I said that.
You don't ride anymore. That surprises me, right? Or you do?
I have a bike still. This last summer I rode.
That's right.
The summer before that, I did a duathlon sprint. For reasons we'll talk about on another podcast. I took a couple years off bodybuilding and just kind of didn't know what to do. Like I liked riding bikes. I hated running, but I still did it as part of this thing of just like trying to get over something that I wasn't good at. And I tried to go back to doing things that I knew how to do that I liked. And I didn't have as much fun with it as I do bodybuilding, but
No.
bodybuilding, when you've done something at a certain level and you know a certain setup works, it's hard to do it any other way. And just getting like all the ducks in a row of being back to where I wanted to be, getting back on board with me and Dusty getting our shit together, and everything being.
I always thought you'd be, because you told me before that you had spent quite a bit of time fighting, doing the what was it? The
Thai box.
Yeah, the Thai boxing, and having gone to Thailand now, it's like a fucking national sport, man. This stuff is serious shit over there. And they love those. I love the athletes. They don't mess around with it. But I would have thought you'd been, because you told me some stories before about some of the fights you'd been competitive. You were competitive with it, and you were pretty good. And your legs are fucking strong. And so why not do that? I mean, I know that we talked, and I know there's been some. You felt like because you're getting up. I won't say you're getting old because I'm 10 years older than you, and that you're not. I'm not old.
Let's be honest. Fighting's a young man's sport. My buddy here in Kentucky, the guy that kind of got me to move back to Kentucky, owns Somerset Combat Academy, which is an MMA gym. He's a professional fighter.
How old is
Ian
he?
Walter. Huh?
How old is he?
Ian is 27, I think.
Okay, so and you're almost 40, right?
I'm 10 years younger than you, so you do the math.
Yeah, there we go. So you're 38. I'm 40. I'm proud to say I'm 48. I do not hide my age whatsoever.
He's because I walk around 250 pounds. I'm carrying a little bit of extra baggage, obviously at 250, but I'm still fairly athletic at 250. I go to his gym and do jiu-jitsu once a week, just for fun. I was never into jiu-jitsu. It's really, really hard, which is why I like it. It's a great cardio workout for me, just getting more of my lungs and stuff. And it's mentally, it's really, really demanding, which I like. It's really something where you have to really think what you're doing, and in split seconds.
That was always surprising to me as I watched Joe Rogan's podcast and stuff, and he talks a lot about some of the strategies in some of the fighting. It's amazing. There's quite a bit of strategy that for people who.
There's totally a lot of strategies. He's talked to me about, and I've actually seen some of it firsthand. The local amateur MMA fights, that a lot of the heavyweights are just heavy.
They're just fat. You can say it. They're fat.
Yeah, they're fat and they hit hard. My athleticism, stuff like that, he thinks that I could do very well, even with, I have very limited ground training. I'm a decent striker, but what I know from striking and MMA striking aren't the same thing. Like you put a Thai boxer in an MMA ring, he's going to get taken down. He's going to put on his back. He's going to get beat up. Our stance is different. There's a lot of stuff that I would have to relearn.
But that's the fun.
It is, but at 38 years old, I don't know if I'm in the face anymore.
I get it. Don't use
when
age.
I was 8 years old, getting hit in the face like in the ring was no different than going to the bar and getting hit in the face in the bar. It was, you were young, you woke up with a black eye, you laughed about it, and you told your buddy who probably was the one that gave you
I remember the first time I got hit in the face. It was sort of a shocking experience. I was in the bathroom. I was in high school, and these Mexican guys jumped me. They thought my brother called one of the guy's girlfriends a name, and he decided that he was going to be the equalizer. He came in the bathroom, and then of course she pointed me out because we're identical twins. So lucky me, but I knew exactly what the fuck was going on. And my brother was in the bathroom with me actually, but I want to rat him out. I'm sitting there taking a piss, and he just comes over and just socks me right in the eye, man, out of nowhere. And I get off, and they hits me a couple times. They run, and I remember thinking, man, pussy. But more than that, it didn't hurt. It's shocking at first, it's like,
there's that what just.
Oh, I had a black eye too, man, and he had a ring on. Motherfucker, gave me a mark and cut me.
You hit that. Most people hit that fight or flight situation, and I mean, I think anybody the very first time, especially if you're it's not like a combat sport. I think the first time you get hit in a situation, if you're not expecting it, most people's instant reaction is to freeze for a second.
Yeah.
You got people that fight a lot that, they'll get hit and the fight or flight's going to take over. And that's honestly a lot of what the training for fighting, in my opinion, is about, is teaching your body to react to, making that fight or flight fight. It's always going to be fight. It's always going to be instinct. It's always going to be.
I would think that you'd want to like control that more and be more intelligent.
Well, here's the thing: you're going to be in control, but when you're in a fight, you're reacting so fast, you can't think that quickly. Your reactions have to be
instinctual, like almost instinctual.
Yeah, that's why you drill the same drills over and over again, and you bring in sparring partners that fight like that person, and you spar against somebody that has the same style as this person, so that your body is just gonna, that, hey, I'm gonna throw this left and he's gonna counter with a right, and this is what I need to do. And it's just got to be boom, 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 boom. If you're sitting there thinking, if you're overthinking in a fight, you've already been hit too many times to do any good. A lot of fighting. I mean, I know, like, before I ever had any instruction, school fights, bar fights, whatever, like, a lot of fighting was just being willing. Just being willing to walk up and throw the first punch and just get in there and get to it. A lot of people, like, I grew up, I think, at the very beginning of this era of people like getting in each other's face and talking shit and then nobody doing anything. But my dad's an old hillbilly from North Carolina, and I was always taught that if you get within arm's reach and you're being aggressive towards me, I'm going to hit you. If you're being aggressive physically towards me and you're within arm's reach, you're fair game, because I'm close enough for you to hit me.
Right.
And I don't want to get hit. So I'm going to hit you first. The only time I was never allowed to throw the first punch was in school, and that's just because you got in more trouble back then.
Oh, right. I remember I figured out real quick. I grew up in North Las Vegas, sort of a, rough sort of area back in the 70s, and still is today, I guess. But my brother and I were the only kids on the block that weren't black. So we always got made fun of, and we always got picked on. So we had to learn how to fight. So I couldn't just
You're not black?
I'm not black, not completely. And I remember I remember getting in a lot of fights, and it was just over dumb shit, kid stuff, right? It's like all kid shit. But I remember what dawned on me really quickly was, hey man, like, you got to throw first. If you sit and wait, man, you're going to lose. Because I figured out real fast, man, that if I'm going to fight, I'm going to probably want to throw first every time. And I want to throw it all. I want to throw it all. Yeah. Put them down, right?
I mean, you're not throwing punches to make friends. I mean, even though the sad part is I've made some of the best friends I've ever met in my life in a fist fight. Because here's the thing, like,
that's why I find the distinction between men and women. When chicks fight, oh man, they're mortal enemies for life. But when dudes fight, there's a chance. There's a chance that you could be friends.
Physically fight. They don't get in there and like you get two chicks that get in there and mix it up, and give them a couple days, they'll probably be able to talk.
Okay.
Why? 'Cause they got it out there. We'll get in there and get it out of our system, and shit, I've left one bar with the dude I fought to go to another bar and bullshit. And, that conversation always goes with, damn, dude, that shit hurt. Why'd you hit me so hard? It's usually a very, like, shit talking.
But that's the kind of guy you are, though. See, not everybody's like that. Like, but I get what you're saying. Totally get what you're saying. But the nastiest fights I've ever seen were with girls. Like, dudes, okay, you throw. Okay, sometimes it can get kind of hairy, like, but that's usually because somebody brings a weapon, and but like the worst, like one of some of the gnarliest fights I've seen was with chicks. They bite each other, fucking ripping skin off and shit like that, like just nasty shit over stuff like boyfriends, like.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I mean, chicks are gonna be. If you got to think about it, I mean, a girl is going to be way more ruthless than a dude in a fight. Let's be honest. One of my good friends growing up was a little gay kid in Riverside, California, named Jeff, who he used to go to regular bars and he'd hit on guys until someone called him gay, and then he'd beat the shit out of him. And he was 5'6" and 135 pounds. And one of and basically I used to tell people he's got the strength of a man and the vindictiveness of a woman. And this is the best way I can describe Jeff. And Jeff was, he's scary, scary fucking individual. I mean, I wouldn't fight him if you chained him to a post, not without a weapon.
That reminds me of a guy I went to college with. His name was Babak. He was I don't know if he was Iraqi or if he was, I think he was from like Afghanistan or something like that. I can't remember, but this is before all the war shit. And he was a good friend of mine. I liked him. He was a little guy. He wrestled. He was on a wrestling team. He wrestled at 133 pounds, I think. And he was ranked like at top 2 in the country. And the guy represented his country in the Olympics and shit. I mean, that's how good he was. And he would go to the totally unassuming guy, right? He's 130. And he goes to these bars on the weekends, right? And he would do this to practice. He would go to the bar, and inevitably, he wouldn't have to do anything, and somebody would pick a fight with him. And he would say, okay, let's take it to the parking lot. And he would go into the parking lot, and he would just take these fuckers down, just like over and over and over, just to practice his skills. He didn't want to hurt them. He just wanted to take them down. And these were drunk people. Fucking hilarious thing to watch. The most hilarious thing to watch is a drunk guy who thinks he can whoop this guy's ass, this little guy's ass, because he would always pick the big guys, and then, and they would think that they're going to kick his ass, and he would just take them down one after, get them on the ground, submit them, get off them, and then they would try it again. it's like
see, Jeff was there to hurt somebody. I used to call it him being bitchy.
You're bitchy.
You could tell when he would show up, and he'd always had a harem of hot girls with him.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. And if you were one of his straight friends, you could screw any one of them. And that was one of the other plus sides. But he basically backed me and a friend of ours up in a big altercation one night in a club called Metro, and without knowing me. Like, basically, he tried to pull his shit with me of trying to buy me a drink. And I just looked at him and said, hey, dude, not my style. Thank you. Not to mention, I don't pay for drinks in this bar. Got my drink, turned around and walked away. On the night, we'd get into it with a group of people.
So he probably respected you for that, for not like...
Oh, absolutely. And we went to get into it with this group of people that we weren't prepared to get into it with. We were very outnumbered, and a couple of them were carrying and stuff like that. Oh, wow. And he ended up hitting 2 guys with beer bottles before anybody even threw a punch, and kind of leveled the field for us.
So he was a quick little fucker.
Me and him became friends after that, and he had a lot of issues.
Apparently,
he's gonna make some psychiatrist a lot of money. I lost touch with him some years ago. I'd love to hear from him again. I'd love to know that he's all right. I mean, he's a good dude. At that point in our life, we were all a little screwed up, but he definitely had, like, he was, and I asked him one day, how he got so good at fighting. He said his only response was he'd known he was gay since he was 10 years old. Imagine how many fights he was been in.
Oh.
You either learn to like it or you just be miserable. And he was, I don't know if he ever had any specialized training or anything like that. But I always used to tell him, this was like kind of when UFC was like first starting out. I used to tell him all the time, man, you need to try to like put some weight on and get in the UFC, because I want to see your little flaming ass beat people.
Kick the shit out of motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Now,
because he was like the flamboyant one.
Oh, really? So
yeah, to the top. Funny as hell.
Well, that's the reason why I fought so good.
Oh, he was funny as hell.
Because that's kind of like
all the strength of a man and all the vindictiveness of a woman.
Well, it's kind of like
combination.
It's kind of like, when you, like, for me at least, when I growing up short and Asian, because I don't look it today, but I definitely looked like a little Asian kid when I was growing up. You either, and I'm tiny, you either learn how to fight or you learn how to be a bitch. And I wasn't going to be anybody's bitch, man. I'm sorry. I didn't want to be picked on the rest of my life. And I remember just saying, okay. And I just sort of started fighting. I don't claim to be the best fighter, but I didn't really, but nobody wanted to fight me. I figured out real quick that it only takes a couple good fights.
100%. And most people live in this middle area where they don't ever want to fight. They're not really willing to fight. And then there's the weak people that people want to pick on. There's the people that know that maybe, because I was tiny in school. I was a little scrawny, nothing. I mean, I graduated high school at 140 pounds, 5'10". I was a toothpick, but people, and I, as many fights as I've been in, I've probably lost at least half of them. But I was just willing.
Yeah,
I was, and people don't want to fight the guy that's willing. And
that's true.
I was one of those people. Like, if you know, if and I had an issue of thinking I needed to prove myself to people. So if I heard somebody talking shit, I didn't walk up and push you. I walked up and started swinging. Like, well, let's get to it. Let's get down and dirty and make it happen. And
I wasn't that bold.
the biggest thing you learn, and I think that especially this generation that's been so coddled, because I've seen this with my kids, the biggest thing you learn from that was getting your ass whooped's not the worst thing in the world.
Not the worst. No, it just sounds a lot worse than it is.
It's really not that bad. I mean, it hurts.
Well, unless somebody brings like a fucking lead pipe or something like that.
The problem is people nowadays are pussies and got to bring weapons and everything else. You know, we used to have a fire road behind our high school, and that's where, you know,
Where it all went down.
yeah, because the school couldn't control it and everything else, and you just walked off campus, walked around to the back to the fire road, and everybody knew it. So, you know, depending on how good the fight was going to be, people would show up and watch. And
that mutated into MMA today.
nobody got a weapon.
I know. I think people take it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not an advocate of fighting because today I don't even like. I'm not. Everybody knows I'm a very gentle, loving person. I don't really believe in violence, but I won't walk away from defending myself or from defending those people I love because
It's not to believe in violence. It's all around us.
I should rephrase that. I don't believe in me instigating it. I don't believe I don't believe I have a need to instigate any violence, but I do believe that, hey, look, man, like, I'm not going to lie and say that I wouldn't defend myself or defend my family or defend my friends. No, I absolutely, if I felt that was, look, man, like, I don't think people should be picking on people. I have a thing with that. And
well, I think here's the problem.
Get what you get. All I got to say is you get what you get in this life.
It's like I hate all these ads for, you know, stop bullying. You're never going to stop bullying. Bullying is part of it's part of human nature. And here's the thing, and it helped. Look at you and me. We're both small people. Bullies helped make us who we are.
Absolutely. I don't believe.
I appreciate anybody that picked on me when I was a little kid.
I've said the same thing.
Thank you. Like all y'all out there, if y'all remember who you are. I was the guy with the big head and the blue eyes.
The big mouth, the big head, the blue eyes.
Yeah. Probably talking shit while you whip my ass.
But yeah, no, I agree. I agree with you 100% that it's that stuff that's what makes us who we are.
You learn to just say, fuck it, this ain't that bad. And when you learn to fight back, then no one wants to fight you. And my problem is people are trying to, and I get it, man. I don't want my kids hurt, but you got to let kids growing up get a little hurt. You got to let kids get, I think one of the problems, and I love my son to death, is my son's attitude, where my son's attitude comes from. And he has he's young and dumb and thinks he knows the world, and we all did it, but he's a little worse than I was, because he was never humbled by somebody in school. Like, they all ran their mouth and talked a bunch of shit, but nobody really fought.
Right. Well, there is a big, like you did mention, and I want to go back to, there's a big sort of a lot of rhetoric around bullying, especially in schools, cyberbullying and bullying. And I don't like bullying at all. I think that's a cheap way out. But I do think that there is, like you said, that we don't have to see it as such I'm not going to say a bad thing, because it is a bad thing, but it's also something that there is good that comes out of everything.
Well, to tell you how stupid this is, the whole bullying and cyberbullying. First off, cyberbullying is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. Turn your computer off.
Right,
Leave
exactly.
The chat room. Leave that fucking social media. Whatever. Go away from whoever's bullying you. You have the ability to unplug.
But
if you're still there taking it, that's your fault. You're an idiot. We also can block everybody.
Well, there is something to be said for this.
The cyberbullying thing is, my son just turned 18. His girlfriend's 17. Some guy that she goes to school with told another one of their friends, basically made her a rape threat about her. My son finds this dude on Snapchat and basically tells this kid, you touch you physically assault my girlfriend, I'm gonna fucking kill you. My son now is looking at felony charges. He's been arrested.
Oh my gosh, over threatening.
Charges for threatening to kill somebody. Now, the kid that threatened to rape, there's no law. They're not charging him at all. There's no charge. My son, however, is looking at a strike and a fucking felony count in California. A strike. Think about that.
Wow.
For emotionally telling somebody who and someone in his life and someone in my son's life 3 days before this had been raped and he knew about it.
Oh.
He's already a raw nerve. And then this happens.
Wow.
Nobody seems to want to take that into consideration, and they're wanting to give my son a felony and a strike. No jail time, but a felony.
He's barely just a kid.
He just turned 18, and
oh my gosh. I didn't know this. This is the first time you're telling me this, man. This sucks.
Yeah, I just heard more about it today. They just had court again today because it's all going to California. And so his mom and like the public defender isn't wanting to, because I told him, well, tell him he'll take 3 months of jail time if you reduce it down to a misdemeanor. And a lot of times they'll do that. This chick doesn't even want to.
But I have an issue with some of this stuff that our legal system, by the book, this is what's supposed to happen, but what happened to justice? What happened to like balancing justice here, where the law is really supposed to command justice, supposed to support justice, and a judge should be able to take a look at this and go, look, man, like it was just an idle threat. This isn't something that, and he's 18. It's his girlfriend. He's got this extraneous
but the
sort of.
problem is if it goes before a judge, it doesn't go before just a judge. It goes before a jury.
Okay.
And if they did convict him, he's looking at up to 5 years.
I think I'd take my. Yeah, I see. I couldn't. If I was on a jury, I couldn't convict a kid of this. This is ridiculous.
His public defender sounds like she's being a lazy piece of shit. To be completely honest, the way she's talking, like she doesn't even want to go back and argue to try to get what we're asking for. When the person he had before her said that that's what they should do. Oh. So the same people out of the same office are telling him two different things. So now we're basically trying to go. We told him we need time, and we're going to try to get a regular lawyer.
You couldn't have just said he was just joking.
Because of the context and everything else. And my son
actually... It's his word against his. I was just joking with you, man. I'm not going to fucking kill anybody.
But you can't say it. That's the thing. You just can't say it. In California, they're so hard up on this cyberbullying thing. And because it was done through social media. Okay. That's where they're coming after him.
I get it.
That's where the DA is being a hard ass about it.
I'd tell him to prove it. Prove that this is going to create a crime.
They've already seen screenshots and everything of it.
It's okay, but prove that this is going to actually create a crime. Prove this isn't something that's not a joke.
Oh, that is the crime.
The crime is that he actually. So now we live in 1984. We live in like this area where we can't say shit. Like I would say, what do you want? How do you want me to communicate that I don't want this motherfucker touching my girlfriend?
They would tell you that you need to do it without threatening to kill the person.
That's an expression. I think it's reasonable to agree that it's an expression.
Dude, me and you are on the same page, but California is saying it's not. And okay, California is, because this cyberbullying thing is such a hot topic.
I get it.
They're not wanting to negotiate.
Don't get me wrong. I don't think bullying is good.
The justice system's getting.
I think they're just using this as like you said, they're using him as an example. They're making an example out of this particular kid, which is
they're trying to give a kid who's never been in trouble with the law.
Yeah.
And they're trying to give him a strike and a felony, which is something that's going to stop him from being able to get employment, stop him from being able to get places to live, because a lot of places that rent do background checks, and if you're a felon, they won't let you in there. And trust me, there's a whole nother podcast for a later date about where this was going. But I have to be very careful with what I say right now.
Well, that reminds me, like this is gonna sort of switch topics a little bit, but I wanted to tell you about this tonight because because you know me for about a decade, and and I've never been a hunting guy, but I'm considering going hunting in January. A friend of mine in Texas, one of my clients. He does this a lot. He knows it. And I don't know anything about hunting. I'm not a hunter. Like I've never hunted, and I don't really believe it's not something that I could like. I've never killed any animals or anything like that. I don't really have a need for that. But I kind of wanted to have this experience after watching some of the stuff on Joe Rogan talking about hunting. He's a hunter, and I kind of got to thinking. I think, well, instead of me just casting my own opinion about something that I have no fucking experience with, I need to go out. Maybe I need to go out there and have a hunting experience. And before I start talking about, before I can really authentically say, have some kind of opinion about hunting and about guns and gun control and all this kinds of stuff. Because I have my own opinions. We've had this discussion before about hunting, about gun control, and stuff. And so I'm thinking about doing this. I think I am. We're gonna go do some deer, and maybe even some boar or something. I don't know, but I'm gonna do. He's got all kinds of. He's a big prolific hunter, and love the dude. He's an awesome guy, Jim. And I'm thinking about doing it, but I figured it would kind of surprise you because I'm definitely considering doing it. I'm probably going to do it in January.
That's one of the moving out here to Kentucky. One of the things that things didn't line up right for me to have everything that I needed to have happen so that I could do it this year. But next year, yeah, I will definitely be bow hunting. And I definitely want to. One of the reasons I moved out here about the property I did with the size property I did was, I'm going to raise a cow. I'm going to raise a lot of my own chickens next year. I am going to, get a couple deer so I have venison. I'm tired of, factory farm meats. I'm tired of chicken not tasting, but like just weird textures and shit because all the stuff they're doing to it. And even like when you buy organic stuff, like I don't believe most of the shit's organic anyways because it looks exactly like the shit sitting next to it. Only now this one's $7 a pound and this one's fucking 99 cents.
The funny thing is funny you say that because when I went to Thailand this last year and I got a chance to eat some chicken, and they don't sell it. Mostly you get there is pork. Just pork, duck, this kind of stuff, and of course fish products, fish and but not a lot of poultry. Although you can get it. And I tried some, and it does not taste like the chicken we have here. And I don't like the texture. It fucking doesn't taste, it tastes weird to me. It doesn't taste like fucking chicken. And I couldn't figure out why. And I asked my girlfriend, she's like, well, they don't have a lot of chicken here. And so, and when you look at the chickens there, they don't look like our chickens. Ours are definitely been mutated. It's like, so I don't know, but I've grown accustomed to the texture because we exaggerate the meat, right? The flesh, the muscle. And so that's what we're eating. But man, it doesn't taste like chicken over there.
Well, and I was talking with a couple buddies of mine that, they're making these things grow. And they were my one buddy has a fish farm. And he's talking about how they get the fish to grow so fast in these ponds or whatever, however they're growing them. And like he said, he's like, if you actually were to cut them up, they don't have the same nutritional value as one that's in the wild. He's not. And I said, yeah, they're going to have different micronutrients because of what's in the water. He said, no. He said 8 ounces of wild caught is going to have more protein than 8 ounces of mine because mine grows so fast that yes, the meat is a protein, but it's degraded.
Yeah.
Same things happen to our pork, our chicken, our steak, and everything else, which is one of the reasons grass-fed, organic, and all that is. But if you can know where your food's coming from because you killed it, and you raised it, or you raised it and stuff like that, which is why I want to raise a lot of my own food, but also like deer and stuff like that. I love venison. I think it's delicious, especially when cooked right. I honestly believe that someone like me and you, who like I still ingest a lot of food every day. I can cut my portions down and still get the same amount of stuff that I was getting. And that I believe will bring that waistline in.
You're probably right. Absolutely. I think that we're definitely consuming some things that we don't realize that we're consuming, and it's not, like you said, like it's degraded. Most certainly, because definitely, for instance, in Thailand, and I keep bringing this up because it was just my most recent trip outside of the country, and the fruit and the vegetables there, oh my God, it's not like it is here. It's fucking way better. So like I had some sweet papaya and oh my God, a mango. Oh my God, it's so much sweeter. It doesn't taste, this stuff here tastes like crap compared to that stuff.
You should know that from all the times you've been to Hawaii.
Yeah, I know. Well,
the fruit in Hawaii doesn't taste so much different than the fruit here.
I mean, it's heavier because there's more moisture in it. It tastes sweeter. Like it just, these things. And I didn't realize like how good. And my gut felt so good over there. I'm eating spicy food. I'm eating all this kind of like fermented stuff. They have like, they use a lot of fish sauce, which is basically like the pulverized fish. You can't even get some, and it's stinky, and they like that kind of food. And I ate it. The pH is great. I mean, they really have alcohol. They're really eating very alkaline foods, and you don't see fat people there. You really just don't see fat people. I'm looking around, and they're eating noodles and rice as well, but you don't see them. And I know, so it's not just the macronutrients that's going on. There is, and as a matter of fact, my girlfriend and I were just talking about this evening. They do these studies, or these. There's some studies going on right now, but they have already proven that. So they're taking. What they've shown is that when you take the fecal matter, they're doing fecal implants. You take it, they put them in a pill format, and they give them to people, and it repopulates. Yeah, it sounds gross, taking somebody else's shit, but what it does is it populates your gut with a different kind of flora, different kind of bacteria. And what they found is that Asian people in these Asian countries have a different kind of bacteria, and it makes it more conducive to not gaining body fat because they're not processing some of the carbs. And I've always wondered, okay, so some of this is genetic, of course, how we process our nutrients, but some of it is also microbial. So and they found that a lot of white people, especially here in North America, they're utilizing so much more of the carbs that they eat right away, and it's because of this microbial activity. We have different kinds of microbes. And when they gave this fecal matter in a pill format, so to speak, to these white people, to the people who were more Caucasian nature, who were in North America, they lost weight without altering anything in their diets, and it's like really fast. So they're doing lots of studies right now with it.
Yeah, getting sick from eating shit is gonna make
no. It sounds goofy, but it does.
Poisoning. It's gross.
I think they're just taking the microbial.
Hey, there's another way to not be fat. And here's the thing. Like I said, I took 2.5 years off bodybuilding, which means I ate every piece of shit I fucking wanted to eat, junk food and fast food and everything else. And I'm sitting here probably about 30 pounds of extra fat on me right now. But there's another way of not getting fat. Stop shoveling shit in your mouth. God, I get so tired. Like I get here where we live in Kentucky, there's a lot of like overweight people, and God, and I don't say nothing. I don't fat shame people to their face, like kind of shit like that. Right. That's not my place. You want to be fat, but don't be fat and lie to me about it. Don't be fat. Oh, I got a thyroid problem. Well, stop eating thyroids. You're shoveling shit in your mouth. Because here's the thing: every thyroid problem I've ever heard of, there's a pill to fix it. Right. Well, so you're full of shit. You're just shoving.
Maybe they need to be full of Asian shit.
That's part of your problem. You're eating one massive meal at the end of the night, and it's 4 gallons of Haagen-Dazs. You fucking whale.
Well, there's some really interesting stuff going on in terms of like some studies on this microbial activity and stuff. It's pretty fascinating stuff, and I can tell you, my girlfriend, she eats what she wants.
I'll eat garbage food, but I'm not eating shit. Like that's just
you don't eat it. You take it in a pill. But there is fascinating though. But it's really neat because I think, like, I looked at people when they eat, they definitely don't carb count. They definitely don't, and they're not gaining the same kind of. So it must be one.
They're also eating much smaller portions than we are.
Sometimes, because my girlfriend out eats me, and she's a little thing, and she out eats me, and
everybody out eats you. You eat like a fucking bird.
No, I don't. I just take a long time to eat. That's all it is. And I eat more. I eat more. Okay, so I eat more calories than she does in the day. But I don't at one sitting. She could definitely out eat. I mean, she'll eat
you like a bird. I've gone to meals with you. You, come on. We do all you can eat sushi, and you barely like touch the. You barely.
I get like 2 rolls, 2, 3. I might get 3 rolls.
Trying to break their bank.
I know. You're making them poor. They kick you out. Me, like I'm the kind of guy they want.
No, I tip well.
Yeah. Actually, that was one of the surprising things. Like, I've always been surprised at how people eat because I always wanted to be that guy who could like eat a fucking whole pizza by himself, but I can't do it. I got two pieces down, and I'm like, okay. However, I will say this: being here in Chicago, fuck New York pizza. Hey, man, no disrespect to anybody in New York, man, because I like pizza, but that ain't shit compared to the stuff that's here, man. This is the good shit here, man. Lou Malnati's is my favorite. Giordano's, these are the 2 big pieces.
Now, can you eat a whole pizza, though?
No, I could barely eat 2 pieces, man. This sucker is packed, man, with meat. Like, this thing it's all meat, dude.
Yeah,
it's all meat.
Do you remember when me and you worked together, my first cheat meal?
Yeah, dude.
I had an extra large pizza and a tub of ice cream.
I know. I'm like, you ate the whole fucking thing?
38 minutes.
You're like, I got the counter down. Well, that's good, man.
Well, you gave me 45 minutes. Anything I want in 45 minutes. I'm pretty sure I knocked down 15,000 calories.
Well, you know what? More power to you. I can never do that kind of stuff. To me, it's not a like. I don't know. I just I never had that. I get my sense of satiety, that satisfaction. I get it so fast, man. It's just even today. Was that?
Learn to eat faster.
You know, I did. My brother, my twin brother. I remember asking him once when we were in college. After he got out of the military, he got out of the army. And I said, "Hey, man, was it worth it?" And he said, "No." And I said, "Did you learn anything?" I said, "What would you say you took away from it?" Like, well, there's got to be something. I'm looking for fucking kernels of like juice here. And he's like, "I learned how to eat fast." But everything, I guess maybe it's a little bit of the bodybuilding. I mean, all the nutrition studies and stuff, you're not really supposed to eat fast. That's not good for digestion.
I digest fine. And even my mom actually nowadays yells at me for eating too fast. Slow down, enjoy your foods. All I ever hear from her. When
you're
she's
like,
around.
I do enjoy it fast.
I think it's her fault that I eat the way I do.
Why?
Because I used to have to clean. I wasn't allowed to get up and play until I cleaned my plate.
Oh, you're like, I'm going to fucking play, goddammit. My mother was very strict with the rule that we couldn't fight over food. We didn't have to shovel it in our face, so so food was not one of those things we had to fight over or had to hurry. As a matter of fact, we didn't have to clean our plate. I remember lots of kids who couldn't leave the table unless they cleaned their food on the plate. She was like, no, you don't have to. I think it was because she was forced to do that. And she was like, if you don't want to eat it, you don't have to, but I'm not going to make anything else. And if you're hungry, too bad. Eat when the food's here.
That's how I was with my kids. Was like my kid's mom used to think it was funny that she used to tell me all the time that my daughter didn't eat steak, that she would only eat chicken, but yet she'd eat steak at my house. I never told her. I never said anything. But what it was is her choice was either eat it or go hungry. Because you're going to eat whatever I was making for that meal, that's what you're going to eat. And like when my kids stayed with me and I was on diet, my kids drank egg whites in the morning, ate oatmeal, fucking chicken and rice all day long. Like
funny.
They ate the same shit. Because all I did.
Did they like it? Did they want it?
I was eating. Huh?
Did they want it? Did they want to do it? Or would they rather have done something else?
If they didn't want to make it themselves, and they wanted me to make skills, this is what you're going to eat. You're going to eat the same thing I'm eating because I'm just making more of the same stuff.
Right.
And my kids were fine with it.
My daughter, she grew up watching me diet year round and all this stuff and her mother too. And all she ever wanted was to eat the same shit that I did. And I'm like, you don't want to have some of this other stuff? Like, I like, me, man, I like fucking 7-Eleven nachos and fucking corn dogs and hot dogs. Like, that's my shit, man. Like, I like that stuff. But I don't eat it all the time. In fact, but tonight, I'll tell you, man, my girlfriend and I found...
Right now, remember, I'm cutting.
Well, we got this fucking great place. So this is, again, another great Chicago. Man, if there's one thing I do appreciate about this place is all the great food places, right? Lots of great food in this place. I'm telling you, a lot of history and a lot of great food. There's a place that's like 7 minutes away from our house. It's called, ironically, it's the Burrito King. It's called Burrito King, right? It's this little family-owned restaurant, and it's open 24 hours. They fucking have a bar in there. They serve alcohol. It's 24 hours. I don't know how they got that license to do that, but they make it. They're like, these are real Mexican people who work there, and they've been around for like 25 years. And oh my god, this shit is good. It's like the shit I would get from my friends in California, my Hispanic friends in California. Good, like real tacos, the real tacos, not the fucking Taco Bell bullshit. Exactly, carne asada, and they got I remember driving through the first time. She's like, "You gotta try this place. It's really good." We drive through, and I'm like, "I see the nachos." And of course, I love fucking nachos. I'm like, "Hey, I want some of those nachos." They're like, I said, "But is it like with real cheese or is it with like the fake cheese, the liquid cheese?" Because I like the fake liquid cheese, man. I like the fucking that's what I grew up. If I'm eating nachos, it's not because of the real cheese. It's because it's like the fake cheese. And he's like, "It's real." I said, "Well, what kind is it?" Because I didn't believe him. He didn't sound too secure about that answer. And he's like, "Cheddar." Of course, I get it, and it's fucking liquid cheese, man. It's fucking Velveeta or something. It's fucking awesome. So we found our place, man. But when they make these tacos, man, it's like they pound it's like a soft corn tortilla, like a real taco should be. and they put like it's all fucking meat, man, and man, it's good. Like I like that. We happen to really like this place, but Chicago is good for a lot of good food. I've never been a foodie. You know me. I've never.
The only time I've ever been to Chicago was I was there the very first year they allowed a tattoo convention on the Navy Pier.
Oh yeah.
It was Body Art Expo, and I did that show. And me and my buddy, who we did the show, we always decided to stay an extra day and be tourists, and that was actually during the Taste of Chicago.
When is that? I don't know Taste of Chicago. I've only been here a year.
All like the restaurants will have a.
Oh, awesome!
Like they go out to basically where the big park is, right over by where that big park with the fountain. I always call it the Mary with Children because it's from the credits to Mary with Children.
Okay.
They set up vendors, and you have to buy tickets
to get in. Yeah.
Oh no, you buy tickets and then you use the tickets to buy food.
Oh, okay. So you can sample all the restaurants.
We're wandering around hammered, drunk, and just eating everything we could get. Because the drunker I get, the more I eat, and it's really funny because you could tell that there was kind of the locals and the local cops kind of don't jive real well. Because cops would be standing in one area and the entire crowd would give them a wide berth and go around them.
Oh, really?
And we're running up to them with our beer cups. So I'm like, hold this, and grabbing pictures with them. We're drunken tourists.
Well, I think there's been some issues over the years with like police brutality and police violence in some of the community in the city. Was that?
Stop breaking laws.
Stop breaking the law, asshole.
Hey, I've had more than my share of run-ins with police when I was young for stupid shit. I've had more cops go out of their way to try to help me than ever even try to be an asshole to me.
Hey man, I remember.
And I'm talking about when I was a tattooed little white mouthy pain in the ass. They still would usually go out of their way to try to put me in the right direction. And it ain't gonna be wrong. A couple of times I've had a cop put hands on me in my lifetime, but I used to have a fucking real chip on my shoulder about cops, and then someone talked me into doing a ride along.
And then you're like, okay, this is tough.
I did a ride along in L.A. and the first call that we went on was a domestic violence, and the cop shows up. They go to the door. They have to go in. Basically, the girl was beat up bad enough to where they forced her free, and they got everybody in handcuffs, and they brought a baby out, and this baby had cigarette burns in its face.
What the fuck?
And this is just this white trash couple that were abusing this child and just pieces of shit. And I watched this dude. You have to keep his shit together, and I wouldn't have faulted him if he'd shot both of them right then and there.
So both these parents of this child would torture this child.
I don't know the whole. You know what I mean? Because I'm having to sit in the car. But
that wasn't even the reason why they were called in there. They were called in because
the neighbor heard her getting beat up.
Oh, they're probably like, oh, the fucking neighbors are at it again.
And I watched him have to deal with that, and this is the beginning of the shift. So after dealing all that paperwork and moving on, and he just kind of went on like that didn't just happen.
Like that doesn't disturb you, man.
He went on to the next thing, and to the next thing, and to the next thing.
That shit would disturb me, man.
Doing his patrol, and he, and one night I saw some pretty horrific shit, and I had a new respect for what these guys do and see and put up with. I watched them be verbally abused to the point where I'd put hands on people. 100%. And I've seen, and something I don't agree with in the world is I don't think anybody should put hands on anybody, but I also think it's really wrong when, because we showed up in another domestic violence where the dude was trying to get away, and by the time we rolled up, they're in the parking lot, and this chick's just wailing on this dude, and finally he's just had enough and clocks her, and everybody's mad at him.
Right.
I'm sorry, if you got big enough balls to hit me, you got big enough balls to get hit back.
Well, nobody should be hitting anybody, period, for nothing. But if they,
If you assault me, you damn sure better expect me to hit you back. Now, depending on who, and even on a guy, if it's some scrawny little tiny nothing of a guy, yeah, I'm not going to drop my whole body weight behind a punch. I mean, there's different levels. I mean, somebody your size comes at me, yeah, I'm going to try to put your jaw on the other side of your head.
Don't worry, John. I love you, man.
You know, some 105-pound, beta male with his pink pussy fucking cap on his head, protesting something stupid, tries to put hands on me. I'm going to drop him, but I'm not going to try to tear his head off. There's just no point. I know what I'm capable of, kind of thing. But I watched that happen, and I watched this dude have to, and because we were already, and I was like, arrest them both, fuck them, they're all pieces of shit. And I'm so burnt out of this one thing. He's keeping his composure through the whole night. And at the end of it, I kind of got to talk to him and really ask him to decompress the night with me. And like, he's like, dude, it's just part of the job.
You're like, man, I'm fucking disturbed, man. You're gonna need to talk me through this shit before I go beat somebody's ass.
Horrific shit in my life, and I'm sitting there going, how do you do this every day sober and not kill somebody? And he says that's why you see some of the bad shit you see happen.
I could totally see that.
Finally, fucking just have had enough.
Twing!
Like, I have a family at home, so I try to leave it
at work.
He's like, when I get out of the car and I get done with my paperwork, I leave it there. And I try to go home, and I try to not bring any of this home to my wife. I said, but that's not possible. He said, he flat told me, and that's the reason I'm not bringing his name up, because I don't know what's ever happened to him. But he flat told me, he's like, no, this will eventually eat at me. And he's his mentor, the guy that was the first person he rode with, after 19 years, committed suicide.
Oh man!
And the suicide letter just basically said, I've seen too much.
I can see this. I remember when somebody asked me, I was in college, and I used to work out with a lot of the state troopers and stuff, because they were friends of mine. They were great guys, and they all admired me because I was sort of stronger than all of them and bigger than all of them. and they were always trying to convince me, like, oh, you should be, we can get you in the academy and blah, 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 blah. You should do this stuff for us. I want to see you. And I'm like, dude, there's no way I'd want to do what you do. I said, I totally respect. I already knew then, like, because my girlfriend at the time her dad was a detective, and I would talk to him and hear about some of the shit. And I'm like, man, how do you fucking come home and be normal? Like, I could just see in his attitude that he was definitely tainted. Like, when his perspective on shit, he was always like, like, what's this guy? What the fuck is wrong with this guy? Like, he was just always, skeptical of people. And I like, me, man, my happy bubble. I like seeing my life through my lenses, and it makes me feel good. And I knew that if I did that, I would be tainted. I would be like, I would be cynical.
After personal experience, I guess, the only type of law enforcement I'd ever want to be would be a U.S. Marshal.
Why is that?
Because one of the jobs a U.S. Marshal can have is all they do is go do all the federal arrests. So the FBI needs somebody arrested, they have to have the U.S. Marshals do it. DEA needs somebody arrested, the U.S. Marshals have to do it. They're with them. But the U.S. Marshals one kicking the door in or knocking on the door and bringing you into custody. So they don't have to do all the bullshit. They don't have to see all the shit. They don't even have to care what you did. They just have to put you in handcuffs. And that's a job I can understand and get behind. And I mean, every now and again, you might get to shoot somebody. So
well, I'm not thrilled about my future of shooting animals, but I do want to do this, by the way. I want to bring myself back to that, because I do want to experience this, not because I want to kill something, because I really don't, but I want to, because I think I'm going to do this in a way where I could respect the process. I really want to experience it and respect it, because I don't believe death is a bad thing. I'm really revised.
Here's my thing. You keep saying that you've never killed anything.
Well, not in the same sense like I'm talking. I'm directly.
How many chicken have you eaten in your life?
No, I get that. I totally get where you're going, and I absolutely have contributed to many chickens and cows' deaths.
The death that you're going to give this animal,
totally,
is much more noble than the death that all those chickens and cows.
I know. I totally agree with you, man.
Respectful.
And I want to do it that way. I really do.
You're going to appreciate it. You're going to eat all the food.
Well, not all of it. Where my buddy's gonna.
Well, what I'm saying is, but you would never wait once you've killed something. And make sure he makes you clean it and everything.
Yeah, I want to go through the whole process. Actually, I want to give thanks. I want to do it like more like a Native American would probably, like the old school sort of Native American, sort of methodology or process of thanking the animal, because I want to feel that viscerally, because I've been very opinionated over the years about hunting and stuff, and
you've been about a lot of things. That's why we argue.
Exactly, and I feel like today, well, you know what? I don't fucking know. I've never fucking done this. I don't know, and these things need to. I do realize that we need to control the populations of these things, and I need to eat, and so I kind of figure, this is not a bad thing. There's nothing bad going on here. If we do it's done respectfully, we usually, and my dog's gonna love me even more because I'm going to give him the antlers. He loves to chew on those fucking antlers, and they're so expensive. When you go to the Petco, I go in there and I look for some antlers for him. And just a little piece like this is like almost $20, and he'll chew on that fucker for over a month. He loves it, and it's the only thing, because I have a Rottweiler, Conan. Those things, he has one of the strongest bites per square inch, man, and he could chew through fucking anything, man. I cannot give him something where he can't get through it in like 10 minutes, except for the antlers. The antlers, it takes a lot of time for him to whittle that sucker down, like a couple months sometimes. So I'm kind of excited about that, but I'm excited about going through the process, and also I want to see my buddy and spend some time with him and his wife. They're cool people. But I also want a new experience, and I want to be able to have a base to talk about why this and you know what I mean. Like when I talk about hunting before, it's just all theoretical. And while I did get a degree in philosophy, and I am a very theoretical person, I kind of want a little bit of it. I kind of would like to have that experience.
Well,
I may find that I really like it. Shit.
We've had this discussion before. Theoretical really doesn't mean shit in the real world.
Right.
That's an honest,
But it's a place for me to start. It's a place for me to start.
Well, theoretical works great in utopia, but the world's not utopia.
And I just need, but I've always needed a place to start with, my thinking process and my opinions. So but I agree with you. Like I need some real world experience.
I mean, we've had some pretty long in depth conversations about just that one topic. No, I mean, I think any experience where you're going out into something with an open mind is going to be something you learn from. You may not like it. I have. I mean, there's one of my clients out here.
I'm not, but I will say this: I'm not going to be taking pictures of me with it. I get why people do the trophy thing. I don't know if I need to do that. Like that to me, I don't know. I'm the jury's out on that one.
You think the social justice warriors are going to attack you because you?
No, it's not that. It's just that I don't know if it's the triumphant thing. I mean, I think it's. You know what I mean? It's like this isn't like I killed. If we kill like
the Indians used to hold it up and dance around with it.
That's different though. They're not taking pictures and putting it on social media. It is
social media. This is our way of dancing around in front of millions of people.
Well, I guess maybe that. Like I said, the jury's out for me on this until I actually have the experience. And I go, because I may fucking kill the thing and go, fuck yeah, motherfucker.
You'll go through different. Actually go through different emotions. You will. At least for me, like they're beautiful animals. You kill one and you're excited because especially the first one. You get that shot and it's clean, it's perfect, and you kill it. But then you also you will feel bad for a minute, but then you'll appreciate.
I know I'll appreciate,
especially because. They'll probably do something where, like, when you clean it and stuff, they'll probably do a fire, and you'll cook part of it that night and eat, and you'll appreciate the food.
What do they got? What do they got up there where you're at?
We have deer. I think northern. I think there's some type of elk out here.
I'd like to do it. If I like this, then we'll go elk hunting.
Well, the season will be next year. Next winter.
That's okay.
Yeah. Oh no, next. What I was gonna say is actually one of my clients out here. He's a bow hunter. Loves it. Absolutely loves it.
I was always good at the bow.
He gives away all the meat.
Oh, because he likes.
Well, he's vegetarian.
Oh. Do you like elk?
The hides. Well, what it was he was telling me that last year he got his first bear. Because they only give out certain, so many bear tags, so it's hard to get a tag one, and then when you get it, it's hard to find, get a bear,
right.
Especially to bow hunt. You got to be within.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, within 40 yards
Fuck
usually.
Yeah, man, those motherfuckers are powerful creatures, man.
Yeah, and these aren't grizzlies or anything; these are black bears,
okay.
but they're 350 pounds, could rip you apart anytime they wanted. Like he said, he kept the hide, he kept the head, and he had the meat. He had the whole thing processed. He had the meat processed, and he just basically gave it to his friends and family.
Is bear meat good?
I've been told different things. I've been told it's really good. I haven't tried it. That was my question was, hey, how is it? What bear meat like?
I've heard it tastes good. That's what I've heard.
He looked at me and he was like, I don't know.
I fucking hate it. I'm a fucking vegetarian.
Yeah. I'm sitting there like.
You're like, what? You just fucking. Well, yeah. I've heard it's good. I remember, but I've always been very, very very sort of sheepish about even approaching the subject, because when I was in college and I was managing a vitamin store, I used to have one of my bodybuilding, weightlifting guys that I knew who I used to help. He's come in, and he had this really cool tattoo, large one on his shoulder of this bear. It's like, and it's a grizzly bear, and he's like, ah, and it's like drool, and I'm like, wow, that's kind of menacing. He's like, well, you want to hear the story? I said, sure. He said he would go up hunting in Alaska. I wasn't going to Oregon State, so I was in Oregon. So he would go up to Alaska, and they would hunt. And he said he went out there to a grizzly bear hunt. He went up one year, a couple years prior to this, and him and his buddy were hunting. He stationed himself on this tree for like 5 days or so. It's like almost a week. He said, I didn't see anything. I didn't catch anything. I figured I was going to come home with nothing, that it would just, bust. But he said, the day I was going to leave, literally, he said, I climb out of the tree, ready to pack up my shit, and all of a sudden, I hear something snorting and it's blowing snot out of its nose, and I look up, and he said, about 100 yards out, there's a bear, a big grizzly bear. And he said, it sees me, and it's pissed. He goes, I looked at it, I was like, fuck. He had a 30-06. He said, I raised it up there, and he said, man, I unload everything I got at this thing. He said, I know I hit it. I know I hit it 3 or 4 times. It's charging me by this time. He said, man, I pull out, he had this large pistol. I think he said it was like a 44 or something. And he said, I'm just fucking, he goes, I take my time and I bang, bang, bang. I unload the entire gun. He said, it gets to me. He says, it doesn't go down. He said, I know I hit this thing with this thing too. And these things are big slugs. These are big slugs. He said, it gets 6 to 10 feet from me and then drops. But he said, he goes, man, it got so close to me. He said, there was a second where I said, your whole life flashes in front of your eyes. He said, I figured I am a dead man. I'm dead. This thing's going to rip me apart. He said, then it drops right in front of me. He said, when he skinned it, the forearm on this thing, and now he was 6'4", about almost 300 pounds, 280, 90 pounds. He said, the forearm on this thing was bigger than my legs. He said, this is a big motherfucker. So I was like, so he said, so pretty much shies me away from ever doing grizzly bear hunting. It's like, that's pretty much, you got to know. He said when he looked at it, he said, I had hit it several times, but it just took it time to go down. What was that?
Yeah, so now do it with a bow.
But yeah, no kid, that's what I'm saying. Like, your friend is a fucking maniac. He's.
Well, here's the thing. Like, that guy's randomly shooting. He doesn't know where he's hitting this thing because he's worried because it's charging. The idea is you hit it through the vitals. You know what I mean? I
don't know where he hit it. Right.
I can talk on deer. You're trying to, hit. If you perfect shot, he hits both lungs and the heart.
Okay.
And it's dead within a couple seconds. I'm assuming a bear, you're going to go for the heart.
That's what I would think. Yeah.
But this thing's charging at you down. I mean, you're having to shoot through its shoulders and everything else.
Yeah.
Other than hitting it in the head.
I don't know where he hit it, but he said he was scared for a second.
I would have needed new clothes.
But he said that he used everything, and he said that he tattooed this bear on his shoulder out of respect. He said he vowed to himself that was the last time he would go. He said that was a sign he thought that God or nature or somebody was telling him, this is your last grizzly hunt.
Well, I mean, I think it's funny because, like, I watch a lot of stuff. People think of bears, they think of like the happy bears in the movies and shit
Right.
like that.
Winnie the
But
Pooh.
people don't realize, like, you're talking about a predator
Well,
that in the wild there is no befriending this thing. It will kill and eat you. Period.
yeah. Well, we know that the only animal that I know that hunts people is what is it? The polar bears. They're the only things that will actively try to track you and hunt you out there in their domain. And they've had videos of this where these bears are crawling on all fours over these things, trying to stalk humans because there's nothing to eat out there. They gotta hunt what they can hunt, and these motherfuckers. And so, but it's pretty amazing. But bears are pretty powerful. Hey man, like this is. We're almost at the 2 hour mark. I'm good with this one. I really appreciate you being on the show this week. Next time we have you on, we're going to talk about some more interesting shit. And there's a lot of cool stuff that you and I got going on in the future that we're going to be able to talk about later. I want to let everybody know that, but just not yet. For some reasons that we'll disclose later. But pretty kind of cool stuff. But man, thanks, man. It's always fun talking to you.
It's always fun talking to you, Ted.
Next time we'll be able to curse at each other a little bit more. Handle or high with Tadayoshi. All right, man. Well, later.